I clap for everybody because one day I knew it was going to be my turn. It's going to be your turn one day. Everybody gets a turn. If you stay diligent, stay down, you going to come up. Just work for it. If you can't do that, if you can't clap for other people when they win in season, you don't even deserve one.
This is Sad Boy Radio.
What's the word, everybody? Welcome back to Sad Boy Radio. I'm your host, Matt, and today, man, we got a very special guest in the building. He's kind of famous in the city. Man, you throw various events. You throw R&B over at Y Bar. You're a co-owner of Chalet. You're curating a DJ lineup over at Forever Mind Festival. You're a member of Phi Beta Sigma. Man, there's just so much there to unpack, but you're a father, brother. You're one of WGCI's honorary 28. Man, introduce yourself, bro.
Man, I think you did one of the best introductions. I forgot about some of the stuff. But I go by Sigma Chris. I host events here in Chicago. I curate events. Part of Forever Mind Festival, Sounds of Chicago, Roof on the Wood on Sundays, co-owner of Chalet, as you said, and an R&B cruise, part of Black Yacht Weekend. I do a lot. I host a lot of events, and I try to make sure that we have things to do here, Nightlife and beyond.
How did your partnership with Forever Mind come about?
They actually reached out to Sounds of Chicago. I believe Clay was the person that picked up on it. I kind of had a meeting with Clay and Fran, shout out to them, and they just told me about what was going on. They told me, like, hey, they reached out, they want to partner with Sounds of Chicago. We hopped on a couple calls, introduced ourselves to everybody. The calls went great. We really liked the vision they had for the festival. And it was just amazing to be a part of it because that was one of our goals. I wanted to get more into the festival space. I thought it was an amazing opportunity, and we joined.
With this lineup, you guys are highlighting a lot of DJs that we had the honor of sitting down with, right? You got Kickin' Kenny, you got DJ Simi, No CK, Yaya the Boss. Like, there's a lot there, and there's a lot of different types of DJs you're highlighting through this experience, right? Why did you find it so important to curate a lineup such as this one? Because there's a lot more DJs other than those four.
I think the most important part of having something in the city is including the city. So, like, how can you not kind of get a very diverse group of talented people together when you have an opportunity to? We try to highlight our DJs on the biggest stage possible. I mean, hopefully Forever Mind Fest sells out. There's 15,000 people out there, just enjoying the music. And hopefully the DJs take this opportunity and, blow up off it, man. They have great sets, gain some fans, and just have a good time with us out there.
Did you guys see any challenges with the fact that you're also going against one of Chicago's other big festivals, Sueños?
I think the demographics are different. Shout out to Sueños Festival. I mean, that is heavily Latin, based. And not saying that
Mexicans love house music
no,
too.
Sure, I was about to say, not saying that the Latin population doesn't like house, doesn't like R&B. But I know that was something that specifically we wanted to kind of give the people, like a R&B and house festival. House has such a wide range of people you kind of can't miss. I'm talking about, we have old school house where my parents might have been listening to, and then we have newer house, where you might go to not Blind. Who has a good house night? Carbon has a pretty decent house night, which is a newer club in West Loop. And there was one more that I'm forgetting the name, but they have house. Honestly, that's kind of like a wave now.
Penny Whistle got a lot of house.
Penny Whistle was dope, though.
Not Expat. Cashmere got a lot of EDM.
Cashmere also has a house night. That was what I was thinking of.
Okay, for sure.
Because shout out to Charles Protege, but Charles Protege DJs a house night over there.
I was just over there for the Global House Sounds with Gianni, because we just did the interview with Gianni. But yeah, shout out Gianni, yeah. But man, I'm not a big fan of house. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm also not a big fan of house.
As far as the R&B aspect, though, man, you put some Mario on, you put like that whole lineup. Man, the fact that like it lands on the same weekend is a bummer to me because obviously, like, I'm like, damn, I got Sueños is like, I gotta go to Sueños. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
But you know, it'd be like that. Why did this collaboration make sense for you at this time?
I think that I'm just a fan of opportunities, real opportunities. Everybody will talk to you and say, hey, I have something for you. You know, when we actually talked to them, sat down, I recognized these were people that operate on a high level. They were very professional, and I truly believe in the vision. Also, I like to provide opportunities for other people to enjoy Chicago in a different aspect. Again, there's millions of people here in the city. So I don't look at it as like competition. I look at it as another option.
What did you feel it represented that was so significant to you, though?
I love R&B. You know, I do the R&B cruise. I do an R&B trolley. I did R&B Saturday night. Yeah, I mean, if you follow me on social media, a lot of my programming and a lot of my promotion has R&B in it. Again, I'm hosting Beer Nick tonight. Shout out to her at my restaurant. I've done things with Tank. I've done things with Eric Bellinger. I just did Leon Thomas's after party. Like, yeah, I really love R&B.
At Chalet?
No, I did it at Never Have I Ever, which is now Icon Lounge. So it was cracking. Yeah, it was nice. It was December 5th.
I should have hit you up. I hit up Shy.
Oh, definitely.
I don't even know if Shy went. But man, you know,
definitely.
Life comes at you fast, bro. Things change a lot. But you know, we touched on it a little bit. The fact that this city is so diverse, there's so many options that you can go to. You're a creator of those options. Before you, I'm sure there were more promoters that were doing something, but it's been known that there has been a lack of options throughout the city, even now, right? When you think of urban spaces,
100%.
You think Ice House, you think Sigma Chris. My boy Equan got something going on with Scriptures. So more options are appearing. However, prior to you guys doing it, it could be uninviting at times, right? Even with V5 and Acro, with the Latin community, that's something that they had to break through. And then, you know, Latin music became popular with Bad Bunny, so on and so forth. But your mission in Nightlife has been pretty similar to what you're preaching right now. There's an article in which it says, he is an individual who has built a career strategically addressing these misconceptions and bridging the gap between young Black minorities and access to elevated spaces, providing consistent solutions to the common complaint that there's nothing for us to do in the city. What was your initial mission when stepping into this space?
I noticed in Nightlife, when I was coming up, there was a gap. You know, you only had a few curators that were hosting things. If you didn't want to go there, where could you go? I started off doing a happy hour and gradually built my weekly schedule. And the entire reason why I do so many events and I have so many options is because we had none. Like, I didn't want to always go to the club. I wanted to go to a lounge. Or I didn't want to go to the west side. I wanted to go up north. I want to bring as many options to the city of Chicago and specifically to minorities because we're not necessarily catered to. A lot of times when we work with these venues, until they need money, they don't hire us. They don't look at us. It's not like a club opens up and says, we're going to have a Black night, we're going to have a hip hop night, we're going to have an R&B night. They say, we're going to see what the majority would like. And you know what? After sales, we look at, we see what's going on with that. Maybe we'll hire you guys on. It is never, like, I don't want to say never, but I mean, if you look at some of the biggest clubs out there, how many hip hop nights do you actually have? And when you do have hip hop nights, they're very few and far between. It's unfortunate. And again, I mean, we are the biggest consumers in the city. And when it comes to minorities and specifically Black individuals, like, we're out carrying these clubs on our backs. So I just wanted an experience that not only catered to people that look like me, but I wanted to open it up to everyone and just have people come join us in spaces that we like to frequent, as well as with music that we enjoy. I don't need a night to be strictly hip hop, but what I would like to do is hear some hip hop and some house and some R&B and some Latin and some reggaeton, like whatever you want to hear. I want it to be all in one space. I want it to be inclusive.
How do you even battle that though, right? Because now you have people that they don't want to work, but obviously you have something to prove. Is it more of a fact that you're trying to prove something to them, or you would rather just take it elsewhere?
I used to have a desire to prove something to someone, like that we could behave in these spaces, I guess, like that we would represent ourselves well. And, we can have a great event, successful with no issues. And then it became ridiculous to me because I've been doing it for so long. I think my track record should speak for itself. And if you have an issue with me bringing an event to your establishment based off who may come, you're just being racist at that point. So now I've kind of fell off from trying to convince people to let me do things and going where we're appreciated. It's not always easy, and I still want to afford people with new experiences, with amenities, like really nice spaces and craft cocktails and really nice furniture and beautiful ambiance. But at the same time, some of those spaces don't want us in there.
It is tough because, I think, speaking from my experience, when you're somebody who is not necessarily right there that can align with it, right? Mm-hmm. You're not the person being perceived that way.
Yes.
You don't see it. You hear about it, but you don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example though. Shy's partnering with me on my 5-year.
Yes, sir.
He's going to be helping me promote it. We were in contact with a venue. He wasn't even a part of the conversation yet. But once I had brought up that, we would be co-promoting, they stopped responding. They never even got a text back. And I was like, I'm like, bro, like, and this is a venue that is well known.
Mm-hmm.
And my homie had told me, he's like, hey, bro, like, just so you know, the homie that plugged me, he's like, just so you know, they're a little weird. And I knew the minute he said that, one, they don't want Hispanics in there. Mm-hmm. Two, I'm like, all right, and once I tell them this, urban, they're gonna be like, nah, fuck that.
Yep.
Which is, it's like, your gripes with it would be bigger than mine, clearly.
Because we deal with it daily and weekly. And that's unfortunate. For one, because I know Shy Anthony's crowd. Obviously, I'm just now getting to know you. But it's not we don't walk into these events and these spaces aiming to tear their place down. We do a good job of vetting our crowd, of making sure that we're inviting the right people, that we're setting the right ambiance and setting the right tone so that we are able to successfully and safely conduct these events. But, that's the story of Chicago, segregation, people wanting to kind of box out minorities. And it's frustrating to say the least.
So let me ask you something, right? Because there's a quote that you previously had where it says, I think it's important to talk about what it's like being Black in nightlife and how much of a risk it is for us just bringing out these numbers of people. You can't control everybody's temperament or behavior, but we do our best to bring out a good crowd and live up to the expectations and standards that we set for ourselves.
Man.
What were those expectations that you had set?
Earlier in my career, I spoke a lot more. Like I was a lot more vocal on social media. But as I started to grow, I started to peel back a little bit because it was invading my personal life. People would see me out, and not that they don't know me now, but it was just a little bit, the loss of privacy kind of like freaked me out a little bit. So I was like, let me fall back. But now, in reference to the question, I think those expectations were just coming out to have a good time safely. I always use the word safety. That means monitoring your intoxication. That means being able to walk away from situations that aren't necessarily conducive to a good time. We're not always going to meet a person and click with them, get along with them. Sometimes when we come out, we're not feeling the best, but it's important to be mindful of all those things and to proceed with caution if you are in a funk. Our events aren't the place to take out your frustrations. Our events are the place for you to feel less frustrated, for you to relieve yourself in a safe environment full of like-minded individuals that will not necessarily make you forget your troubles, but maybe you'll meet somebody there that makes you look at life a little bit differently. Maybe you'll have a drink with a friend, and in that moment, you can take your mind off your troubles. We're not handing out therapy, in there, but at the same time, this isn't the place to act on issues that you have. And sometimes people do. Sometimes people come out and they're like, you know what? I'm gonna get messed up tonight and I'm gonna act a fool. That's not the energy we're inviting.
What do you think that's about though? Where do you think that comes from? And we could use a personal example, right? Has there been a time where that was your situation?
Honestly, that is personal. You know, for someone to want to come outside and kind of pass that pain on to someone else, that's a personal decision that they're making. Now, I will say, alcohol be kicking butt, man. Like alcohol in conjunction with trauma is not the best combination. So I always advise people to kind of work on themselves and really be cognizant of how they feel before they step out. Outside of that, it's just, I mean, not everybody's well. Also, I've had some people have breakdowns. Like I've had to restrain people because they just weren't doing well. Also, some people are not just on alcohol. Some people are on drugs. It doesn't pair well with whatever else they got going on. Got to be mindful of yourself. And I think that's one of the biggest things.
And you know, that's something that my dad had always told me. Actually, it wasn't even my dad. It was my cousin who said my dad taught him. So my cousin, my cousin told me that my dad had said, you never want to be using substances to run away from the problem. When you're down bad, it's just going to make you feel worse. You're only supposed to use it as a party enhancement, right? And the problem with it is, like you said, paired with trauma, a lot of people try to run away from their problems. They try to forget about what's happening in their day-to-day life. They think that if I numb the pain right now, I don't got to worry about it until the next day. And then the next day comes, and this is how addiction starts. The next day comes, and that pain comes back, and you're like, okay, well, let me do it again, right? I talk about it a lot with anything. We distract ourselves with things that make us feel good, whether it's sugar, whether it's food, whether it's the gym. We allow ourselves to fall into that. And then it's not until 6 months later we realize, well, this was the negative impact of it. And how do I go back and change it and rewire my relationship with whatever that is? Because it could also come from money.
Yeah.
You worked in this industry for a long time. What are the struggles you found yourself facing?
One of the biggest struggles was I was always being afforded an opportunity to work, which is why I think that it was so important that we purchase our own. That's why Chalet means so much, because we own it. It was a time when, in order to just throw a happy hour, I had to go ask a owner. I had to go convince them that we were going to make this much money and that this crowd was going to show up. They were going to be nice people, nicely dressed. And it was just a hurdle, you know? And I'm talking about a happy hour here. I'm not even talking about like a club night. But kind of persevering through the nightlife industry, stacking my bread, continuously making moves. When this opportunity came to buy Chalet, it was a no-brainer, you know? And it was, shout out to my partner, Chris, Lux Group Chris. When we got the opportunity to purchase our own, I didn't realize initially how much weight was lifted from me, because then you can never take my ability to work away from me. I always have a place to work, to create, to bring people to celebrate at. And I dictate what goes on in there, not anyone else. So I think that was a blessing. And, you know, one of the biggest hurdles was just always trying to work for another opportunity and convincing people that you were solid. Now, on the flip side of that was maintaining that energy. That was difficult, because as you start to grow, that's where the problems come. Not everybody in your inner circle will come out every time. And in order to scale a business, you have to reach people that don't know you. Those people may not know the standards that you've previously set. So when they come out, they're coming out like they go everywhere else. And it's like, nah, no offense, but I don't deal with that shit here. You know what I'm saying? We don't do that here. So you kind of got to check yourself. That's the most difficult message to convey respectfully. Come out and respect my business like I respect you.
How is it you avoided the kickback on that, right? Because coming from this community, people will start to call you bougie. They will tell you that, why do you think you're better than me?
Yeah.
How did you avoid all of that, and how did you even deal with that?
By being transparent and by vocally talking about it. Like I would get on social media and I would explain. I would tell people flat out, I'm doing this for your safety as well as my own. Also, I have a bigger vision for myself, and brands aren't gonna want to partner with me if somebody's shooting up my events or if somebody's fighting every time. I'm not even talking to people that are willing to do that. So if you ever find out about my event and you have an issue with somebody and you willing to shoot them over it, you're not invited. Like, if just so you know, I don't ever want to get that fucked up. I don't ever want anybody to think it's anything that is not. If you are personally willing to take out someone because of a disagreement or argument or whatever, I'm not even talking to you. You know what I mean? Because that doesn't even cross my mind. What we should be thinking about is how we can celebrate one another, how we can grow, how we can network with each other, how we can build. One of the most popular words right now in social media in reference to nightlife is community. I said it a long time ago. I recognized that I was developing this community of people that looked to me not only for a good time, but they looked for leadership. And it was off-putting to me because, it was almost like the Charles Barkley commercial back in the day. He was like, damn, I don't know if I want to be like a role model. But people listened to what I had to say. And I felt the pressure of always guiding them in the right direction. But at the same time, I don't think that as a leader in any community, you should shy away from the spotlight. You shouldn't shy away if you do have positive things to say and a means to help people.
I don't know if fear is the word, but what made you step away from being a role model?
It was just that. It was the pressure, and I had to come back to it. And also I have 2 children. The weirdest thing happened to me when I think I was putting my daughter in the car. I was at a Jewel, and a guy walked up to me, on some Sigma Chris stuff, right? Like, I have my children. When I have my children, I'm in daddy land. I ain't thinking nothing about nothing. Please don't approach me when I'm with my kids. You know what I mean? So he's calling my name, but I'm paying attention to them. And then he kind of walks up on me. And, my reaction was, kind of different. It was like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm protecting my children. That was when I thought it was a little bit heavy. Another time was when a young lady reached out to me. She wanted a picture or something like that. But I don't post the pictures on the page that she saw it at, so I didn't have the picture. And so when she was asking me, I didn't even know what she was referencing. And eventually I saw the picture on a page and I was like, oh, you could screenshot it because that's what I would have done because I didn't think I had the picture. Fast forward, she made a whole TikTok about it. And it was people in the comments like, he wanted to hold that over you. One girl was like, I never got a good vibe from him or something she said. I had never met this woman in my life. It was just a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, see, this is getting out of control. There are people talking about me on the internet and I don't know them. Also, outside of that, if I was to see them, I wouldn't recognize them, which creates a safety hazard because I'm with my children. So I wanted to step away from it. But that's part of the reason why I'm coming back to it now, why I'm taking interviews, why I'm talking to people, why I'm going to start doing content. Because you can't let people run you away from your space. Can't let people shut you up, especially when you have something important to say. And if you're on your mission, you're gonna run into some flack. You're gonna have some opposition. Everything's not gonna be smooth sailing. That's how you know you're on to something great.
That's how you know you're doing the right thing. If somebody's not hating, then you're doing something wrong. And that's what I told somebody yesterday. I was taking somebody yesterday and they're like, yeah, I just don't like posting because I get all these comments from different people. And I'm like, gotta ignore it. There's been so many times, especially recently, because I have been mentioning God a lot more, but people will say, well, you're not mentioning scripture. You're not pulling directly from scripture. I'm like, well, I'm not inherently saying anything bad. What I'm saying is how I feel. Somebody said, I feel like I'm being dragged back into a certain life because the devil's tempting me. And I said, I don't think it's the devil. I think it's God. God is testing you. And I use the word tempting and they're like, God will never tempt you. I'm like, but God is placing that battle into your life to see if that's what you're going to revert back to. He's trying to see what you're going to do next because you could go back to the way you were acting or you could continue moving the way that you have grown.
And to the person that said that to you, I mean, they clearly haven't read the book of Job. It was all about how, God said that. Like, it was like, man, he will never, like, curse me or whatever. And, he took his wife, he took, his land, he took a lot of things from him. And that was the point, like the point was to test and to tempt, you know what I mean? And he said, that was one of my strongest soldiers. Yeah, you got to read it. I mean, I think that people always think that they know something for as matter of factly as they do. Like they just feel like, hey, I feel like I didn't like what you said. That's incorrect. You just didn't like what I said. That does not make it wrong.
And the funny thing is, it got like 500,000 views, and somebody had said, "Are you proud of yourself for using God to create content?" I'm like,
I didn't even mean that. I wasn't even trying to do that. And people on the internet are very unforgiving. You make a mistake, you're the worst person in the world. And even when you try to rectify that mistake, it is always some kind of issue, whereas that apology wasn't good enough. You don't mean that. Well, what did you do to rectify that? You're trying to prove yourself to this blanket, to this page of people who have their own shit going on, who are most likely dealing with something, and they're getting off by taking it out on you. I always look at people and say, if you like to contribute to this city, to this world, then do so. But tearing other people down is not a contribution. When you think that you're gonna bring somebody down because you don't like what they said or you don't like what they did, not even giving that person an opportunity to atone and or having a conversation with that person, you part of the problem. And when we're minorities and we have something going on, we're the hardest on each other. And it's like we tear down our own things and then complain that we don't have shit to do or we don't have anything of our own. Well, we were building it, you tore it down. And I don't use that as an excuse to do people dirty, to shit on people. Like, hey, my restaurant's black owned, so I get to charge you $45 for a drink. Or, hey, we're black owned, so you gotta let us slide if your food was cold. Or no, please hold us to a standard, but give us an opportunity to rectify an issue. Let's not hop on the internet, air everything out, say F these people, because these people are doing their best. I know so many business owners that have had the internet weaponized against them because of maybe a server. This person is working on their degree and this is their part-time job. It's not their livelihood. But when you attack that person, or when you attack that, you don't attack that person, you attack the business. So instead of saying Sally was rude, you say, you know what? I didn't like when I went to Chalet. They are horrible. I'll never go there again. Little did you know, well, we just hired Sally and she's honestly not the best, my bad. She might not be here in the next 2 weeks and I'm gonna try to rectify the situation. We have talked to the manager, rectify that situation that way. Maybe shoot us an email. Everybody has like a corporate or something. And let us talk to you and let us try to figure it out. So you got to give us an opportunity to change. Now, if we just saying, well, you know what, we riding with Sally, by all means, by all means go crazy.
blow our shit up.
Blow it up there, blow it up. So
Going back to the conversation of people creating this narrative without really knowing you, right? You got people that are making TikToks about you, not even understanding who you are as a person. There's constantly this narrative that's created about people when something isn't liked. And the problem is sometimes it makes you think of yourself a certain way. It makes you second guess. Where did you find yourself mentally in times where people had created this narrative for you?
So I like to laugh. I joke a lot. And I very much don't take things serious outside of my children because I don't think that things are that big of a deal. But the reason why I don't is because I've been so low in my life. I started off with nothing. Like this career saved my life. It was a blessing for me. So it's very hard for me to take things personally when I know my intention. And also, when you've been the beneficiary of a lot of praise, you can't expect everybody to say good things about you. And when you are a person that people constantly speak about and talk up on, people got hate in their hearts. They gonna naturally not like that, especially if things are not going the best for them. So when you hear bad things about yourself and you know that they're not true, you just have to kind of ignore it and just kind of like laugh about it. I read some comments and I was like, oh, I didn't know that's what I was doing. Like it's not what I thought at all. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if you want to do something great and expose yourself and open yourself up to the world, or you got to know the world ain't gonna like you. Not everybody. You know what I mean? So I was cool. I said some things online. I was like, yo, where did all the hate come from? Like, where did this, what's wrong? And I just always advise people to talk to me. I do a lot of great things for people that I don't broadcast because I do it out the kindness of my heart. I don't walk around with a phone and say, hey, you see this homeless man? I've been feeding him for the last 2 to 3 years. Hey, you see this girl? I offered her a college scholarship. These are things that I've actually done, but I didn't promote. But I think that it's because I did them out of the kindness of my own heart. And if I would have benefited from it, it would have taken away from how special it was and how it really means something. I want people to see a successful Black man that genuinely cares about other people and that don't do it just, for the money and for the clout and for everything else. I want to do it from the kindness of my own heart and to say, hey, if you guys need something, man, hit me up. I'll do my best. But you kind of got to like do the PR stuff because if not, people think you just getting money and you an asshole. You know what I'm saying? So like, you almost got to take out the phone like, no, I promise. Like, I adopted these 17 children. That's not a real story, but like, you know what I mean? You almost got to do that.
Because again, people will create a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
The narrative that I don't think people really know is where you were prior to this career. You mentioned that you were at a low point. What did that look like?
I graduated from Illinois State University with a degree in criminal justice. Because my criminal background was so bad, I couldn't really work in criminal justice. So everywhere I was going, it was like I couldn't work that job. And it wasn't like horrible. I just used to fight a lot, like growing up. And when you growing up in Chicago, it's just rough. And I had this like messed up mentality that people owed me something. I was immature. So I made a lot of bad decisions. However, I think that was one of those tests that God gives. I thought that my calling was to go into this field, right? But because I did all of those things, I wasn't able to get in that field. It landed me in social service because social service is all about forgiveness and taking somebody with the past and putting them in a leadership position. And I also learned more about myself and I learned about other people and how to deal with other people that experience trauma. So I'm working in social service and I have my son. I have a son and a daughter. It paid me like $13-something an hour. I bought my house off making $13.69 an hour or something like that. It was rough, paying the mortgage, taking care of my son at the time.
Were you a single dad at the time?
Me and the mother of my children, we've always kind of did this co-parent thing. Like, that's my girl, shout out to her. Like, I've never felt alone, you know what I mean? We've always been in this together. We were not together in the relationship, but no, we were together as partners in this, yeah. And so, like, again, shout out to her, man. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her sacrifice and her holding me down while I was figuring it out. But man, I'm a man and I gotta provide. Even for her, even though we are not together, I can't have her doing bad either. So like the pressures of that was kicking my ass. And I remember sitting up in the bed one day and Khalil came in, that's my son's name. And he was like, Daddy, can I lay with you? I'm like, sure. But just, gotta be quiet because I'm trying to figure something out. I just typed out my skill set. And one thing that I did, I threw events in college because I was in a fraternity. That was one of the things I knew I could do, how I could bring in some extra cash. And I went ahead and did it. I reached out to my frat brother in one other place, the other place being a non-minority owned place, and my frat brother owning his own bar gave me shout out to him, Chris, gave me the opportunity to work out of his bar. Another Chris, there's 3 of them. Clearly, Chris is to give you opportunity. He gave me another opportunity to earn. From there, I just grew. Like I kept the data. I constantly started working with different organizers, different people that I admired. And I took a lot of gigs for free. Like I was just promoting, trying to learn, like trying to get my name out there. And a lot of people don't realize when you are new, everything is not about a dollar, it's about the exposure and building your brand. And luckily, I understood that. And that's what I did, man. I stayed 10 toes down, man, working hard and really protecting my brand. And, luckily the people knew and they were receptive to my grind. And shout out to my fraternity and sorority. They supported the hell out of me, came to my events, told people about me, and here I am today.
I want to touch on that too. Obviously, I mean Sigma Chris. I can't go the full interview without mentioning it,
For
but
sure.
I want to touch on the fact that you have this background, you have this support system. Where did the understanding come from that you had to also take care of somebody that you weren't with anymore, right? Because that's something that a lot of people lose.
Yeah.
They think that because I'm not with this person, they could figure it out on themselves, knowing that there's still another component being the kids. Where did the understanding come from for you?
The most important thing in my life that has contributed to my maturation as a man was seeing a man take care of someone and provide. My father never left me. Him and my mother are still together today. He worked 2 jobs and went to school. He provided. That was instilled in me when I was a kid. It's my pleasure to provide because I think that is what a man does. I would be embarrassed if the mother of my children was out here not doing well. I would be embarrassed if my son and my daughter didn't have clean clothes or they weren't in the best situation in school or they had bad grades because they can't focus or they're malnourished or anything else. That is embarrassing to me as a man. So if she's not doing well, I'm not doing well. And I think that quite often as men, we can forget what a person, or specifically a woman that we are not with, has done for us. The women in my life have gone to bat for me and have held me down. I have no complaints. Every time I had an issue with a woman or something like that, 9 times out of 10, that was me. I was jagging that. My ego might have got too big. I might have been irresponsible. I might have been unfaithful. I might have not told the truth. You know what I mean? Like, those are things that I think that people don't like to confront about themselves. I recognize, like, you know what? I was on bullshit right there and she didn't deserve that. Or, you know what? We didn't communicate the right way because I wasn't good at communicating. So I think that owning up to what it is that you've done allows you to let that hurt go because you wouldn't want I wouldn't want my daughter to deal with that. So no, if she had to leave, that's not a fuck you. That's self-preservation.
Sometimes that's the best thing that somebody can do. Sometimes you don't offer them what they need, and you think because you left, that love just magically disappeared. When in reality, it was you did what was best for you, and you knew I was never going to change. So you had to take that step and go. Somebody, and going back to you have to forgive yourself to let go of that hurt. Man, I was just at church this past weekend, and I haven't really told this story, but when me and my ex broke up, she told me, she's like, yeah, when I told my mom, she said, thank God, because I've been praying that you guys would break up,
Wow.
which made me feel like I didn't deserve God's love. It made me feel like if God took this away from me, he must think that I'm just as bad as they say that I am, right? But I was at church this weekend and I moved past that. But I was also telling that story last week. So I had somebody come up to me and they said, man, I believe part of it is God telling me, but I also believe that he just came up to me because he saw the way that I kind of like looked, right? And he's like, can I pray for you? And he told me, he's like, God's telling me right now that you're worthy of his love. Like, don't ever feel like you're not. No matter who says that you're not, no matter what may come into your life, like you are worthy. But it didn't click with me until I went to Puerto Rico last year. And I was talking to the artists, and we were talking about how often, as creatives, as people who work in the industry that prioritizes work and prioritizes being selfish rather than prioritizing relationships, we fuck up a lot. It's hard to
100%.
maintain. You know, I sometimes think I'm like, damn, like maybe a relationship isn't in the cards for God knows how
100%.
long, right? But you have to forgive yourself for the ways that you failed. You have to forgive yourself for what you could not do and what you did not do. And maybe what you did. But the longer you hold on to that pain, the longer it's going to take you to heal from everything that you're feeling inside. But yeah, man, I had to share that story because I was like, damn, like it clicked so much, you know?
Yeah.
You talk about having to learn with social services and you learned so much about yourself. What was it you found about Chris?
So in social service, I was the supervisor of behavior intervention for a therapeutic day school. So I worked with children with behavior disorders. So I learned, and I also was a part of the crisis team. I worked as a residential treatment specialist. So I'm reading about disorders. I'm talking to therapists. I'm going to clinicals. I'm training on this stuff. And I can see things in my past that corrupted the way I viewed the world. So when I realized it, I was like, oh, that's not right. Like, I remember going to college and I went to Illinois State and it was the first college that accepted me. I was lazy. I didn't feel like filling out no other college applications. I took the first one that said, come on. I was like, fuck it, we gonna go. So I remember going out there and just being from Chicago, I'm walking around and I'm like, why the fuck everybody in here smiling? I said that. I was like, everybody seems so happy out here. And then another instance, maybe like a month, I had a car and I went upstairs to my dorm. I forgot to come back down. My doors were unlocked. I came back the next day. All my shit was still there. I was like, oh, I'm tweaking. Like, I'm getting soft out here because why is my stuff still in my car? I didn't realize that, that's trauma. That like, people don't live like that. You know what I mean? Like that is not a normal experience to think that people are gonna take advantage of you, that people are out to get you, that people should walk around extra tough and mugging so that they don't bother you. I had to unlearn all of those things. And going through college helped me. But when I got to social service, I got to talk about why I was like that. I didn't know that because of all of the fights and, all of the stuff that just happens in Chicago, that it affected me and made me this hard up, angry person, and it blessed me. Like seeing those kids that like literally had nothing. I would go on home visits and it'd be a mattress on the floor and it'd be a couple kids on it. I remember these group of kids were eating their chicken wings off the floor and they had shirts on. And I was supposed to drop off one of my clients at this place. And I looked at her and I did not want to leave her there. And she looked at me and was like, please let me stay. This is my family and I take care of them. That's why I have to be here. And I couldn't bring it in my heart to not let her stay, even though I honestly probably wasn't supposed to. I felt her. She had to look out for her family. And when you see things like that, when you see people that are actually low, that are really going through it, you put that in perspective to your life and you thank God and you say, I won't complain. And that was probably going through that and having God deliver me from that situation. I don't complain now. It's y'all ain't gotta worry about me. I'm doing fine. I'm not tripping. That's why when things happen, I'm like, oh, that's what you gonna do? Oh, okay, bet. Like, sometimes people get aggressive with me. They hyped up, they drunk. I'm like this. I'm like, oh, okay, that sucks. Sorry, and I'm not trying to be smug about it. I just don't let it get me out my body. Because the moment that it do, or the moment that it does, it's like me not being grateful for where I am.
And we move forward, right? Because again, like you mentioned, we're blessed to live the life that we live.
Man.
So there's nothing that complaining is going to do to change that. You just got to be grateful for what you have and keep it moving forward. But that's why you say that you use social service, what you learned within Nightlife, right?
Yes. Because also talking to drunk people is like talking to children that have experienced trauma. All the trauma that an adult has experienced throughout the week, because we experience trauma too. It comes out when they off the liquor, man. And sometimes they're just incorrect. You know, like if they may have waited in line too long, if they want to sit somewhere and that space is taken, and now they feel like you're treating them differently. One of the highlight words or the key words that I always hear is, you know what, this place is racist because they won't let me do X, Y, Z. And sometimes I'm like, well, look around. Everybody in here black though. You know, like it's like, I don't think it's the racism that we arguing with right here. I think that maybe there's just a miscommunication. It's tough. And you also don't want to be the person to like push against somebody else's experience because you seem biased.
How is it you battle that mentality though?
I just try to educate. You know, I had a guy, I had a really, really good homie. He's a good homie now, but he wasn't a good homie then. I didn't know him at the time. And he came to one of my parties and was like, you know what? Why did I wait this long? Or he had some issue, and I don't know what the issue was. And first thing he did was go to the fact that it was racist. And I'm like, well, bro, I'm the curator here. I promise you it was not about racism because this is a predominantly black party. The people that work here are black. I'm black. Like, this is not why you went through that. Trying to explain it to him was almost impossible. But giving him the opportunity to learn me and know me and not just shut him off and constantly have conversation with him, that was when I broke that barrier. And that was when he was able to be like, you know what, Chris isn't like that. So I think that was one of the things, like just giving people an opportunity to know you and treating them well even when they treat you bad. I don't hold anything against anybody. If anybody said fuck me online and I read about it and I saw him in person, I'm like, hey, what's up? Like, you know, I don't care like that because I don't really believe that you meant fuck me. I think that you kind of spoke in error because you don't know me. Now, if you truly know me and you really don't like me, that's a personal problem. You probably just gonna have to deal with that, I guess. You know, because you know, what are you gonna do? But yeah, I just try my best to give people an opportunity to meet me where I'm at. I meet them where they're at, and you know, hopefully we have a good time together. And everybody is not for everybody. Like, I might not be a person for you. That's okay.
It takes a lot of growth to get to this point in life, right? To understand these lessons that you're preaching to us, because I think for somebody who's just starting, they would have handled that a different way.
I thank God all the time that I didn't have this type of success when I was in my 20s. I'd have lost my mind and y'all would have hated me. I'm serious. I'd have been somewhere on somebody's social media throwing up gang signs, doing some dumb shit. Like, just because that was the mind frame that I was in. And when you get all this fast money, these women, this attention, this is nightlife. When you get all of those things, you have to remain humble or you're going to lose your position. When you start to focus on the BS, which is, again, the fast money, the attention, and the fact that if you start to believe your own hype, you're going to lose, I promise. I remember what it was like to not be shit, like to not have anything, for people to walk past me and not speak to me, for me to wait in line for an hour to get in, only to get to the door, and now the price is triple, and I don't have the money to get in. Like, I've been through it all, like, you know, from start to finish. So I make sure that I still can recognize where the person that's at the start of it is coming from. I was talking to my homegirl today, and I got to stop reading Facebook because Facebook has some of the worst statuses in the world. Like, these people, I'm sorry, if you on Facebook and you out here lashing out.
Hey, man, hold on. Shout out Facebook. We're at 215,000 on Facebook.
But some of the comments, it's just like, man, these people think like that. So I'm on Facebook, and I was talking to my homegirl about it, and one of the statuses was like, man, how much money should I have in my bank account? And I was reading through them. And when I tell you, I realized people weren't doing well because of the amount of money that they said and they were talking about. Then I saw another status about a young lady couldn't pay for her groceries, or maybe she couldn't pay for her groceries, but then she held up an amount of money to the camera and was like, I'm not broke. You see this? I'm not broke. And I just see a bunch of people trying to prove something to themselves and to other people. And it humbles me because I don't think like that anymore. You know, I don't perceive the world that way. And I've seen so many things now that it's like, yo, how can I share my insight without being condescending, without being insensitive? And, you know, how can I really just kind of share that love with people? So if you kind of approach it from a standpoint of, you know what, I'm gonna choose to love these people and choose to really give them something that they can be proud of, you don't think about being an asshole or throwing your success in somebody's face or being braggadocious about things. When I post things, when I post lifestyle things, it is for inspirational purposes only. When I used to see one of my homies who wrote for a couple real dope artists, he'll wake up in the morning in his condo, he'd show it. He'd show his checks, he'd show everything. He might have been flexing, but I didn't take it like that. I clapped for him. I clapped for everybody because one day I knew it was gonna be my turn. It's gonna be your turn one day. Everybody gets a turn. If you stay diligent, stay down, you gonna come up. Just work for it. If you can't do that, if you can't clap for other people when they win in season, you don't even deserve one. So no, I clap for everybody when I see them win. Ain't no, oh man, this person is you know, he ain't as good as me though, or you know, like it's not about me. It's about them. You know, like turn them up. Cause when it's my turn, I would like some claps. You know what I'm saying? I want people to recognize what I'm doing, and you know, I think that's just what it is.
It's just about showing love, right? Because there comes that competition aspect. Yes, I want to be the best at what I do, no matter what it is. But at the same time, everybody knows what it feels like to be overlooked. Everybody knows what it feels like to be undermined. And it's not until you create something that people value when they start to see what you've done, right? I just posted that thing the other day. When you hang out with people who treat you like you're not you, you start to believe that you're not you.
100%.
And then I hit because I'm like, bro, I spent so much time around people who would minimize the thing that I was doing to the point where I didn't believe it. And it wasn't until I went out on my own and I figured it out and I said, okay, this is what this needs to look like. This is how I improve this. This is how I do this. Nobody to box me into it. That's when you become the best version of yourself, because now it's you versus you. It's not you versus the other person's opinion.
You got to correct people when they do stuff like that. Like, I don't let anybody minimize the things that I'm doing. I was talking to a brother one day, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna check out your little party." I'm like, "Well, ain't nothing I do little." Like and like I wasn't trying to be arrogant or anything. It's just I don't let people minimize the impact that I make. I don't let people talk to me crazy. Like it's about respect. I also, in turn, don't do that to other people. Like when you approach me and say, "Hey, you know what I'm saying? I want you to come on the podcast." I just say, "Oh man, I'm gonna check out your little podcast and just listen to how that sounds." That's crazy, right? I was excited from the jump. I'm like, I would love the opportunity to come and sit down. And even if this was something that I didn't necessarily want to do, I'm not gonna shit on what you're doing because I may not recognize its value. You gotta watch people like that because they'll try to plant those little seeds in your psyche to like what you said. Now I believe that shit. Like, you know what, this podcast, this ain't big enough for me. I gotta do something else. Or these parties, they not big enough for me, man. I'm not doing enough.
The right person is going to take that and keep it going, right? Because there were times where people ignored messages. There were times where people tried to charge me. There were times where people just straight up said, nah. And that was cool, right? But that's the thing that people don't see. And that's why I'm so excited for, we're going to get back to you for a second. That's why I'm so excited about this 5 years, is because it is really a culmination of everything that I did. I tell people, man, you see what I put myself through for this shit? I put myself through emotional pain. I cut my hand. I fucked up my hand. I put myself through physical pain. Like, this was real life, like my life and what I had to do to get here. And I related my experiences to somebody else's who then created these bigger, grander stories and related it to millions of people. I was able to do something that was never supposed to be able to be something. Like, and that was just off passion. You go back to my first video, bro, I'm on a couch with overhead lighting, not even a ring light, some fucked up mics. Like, I always say this, like, it was never supposed to be something, and it was always supposed to be nothing, and I made it something. And now we're gonna be at the 5 years. Like, I got some dope interviews lined up leading up to the 5 years. I got a fucking beautiful vision. We're throwing 3 events. Like, after my last event, I was like, fuck, I'm never throwing another event because it went so bad. And now I'm over here throwing 3. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's beautiful. But to take it back to you, you mentioned that you were always trying to, or when you were younger, you would have tried to prove something to somebody. What was it you felt like you had to prove, and where did that stem from?
Always that I was good enough, you know? Like, I always wanted to prove that I was worthy. My father achieved a lot. He's a civil engineer. He also has his own brokerage named after my son, Khalil Realty. My mom was working for like the government or something for a while. And even though I went to school in Roseland and grew up kind of, I guess, in the hood, they got me out of that though. But once you're kind of in it and once you see things, and you, as a kid, you always want to be like the kids around you, right? So like the kids around you are your biggest influences, not your parents. And I never felt like I was tough enough. Never felt like, I was also short. Like, I'm like 6'2" now.
Okay.
I know, but I was a grade ahead when I was younger. So like, I was always smaller than everybody. Had little man syndrome. Trying to play basketball, which is my favorite sport, but I'm short. My grades were good, but it felt like they were expected to be good. So I never really got any accolades from my parents for that. They're like, yeah, they're supposed to be good. Like, we expect that. I just wanted to prove to me that the things that I was doing was worth it, you know? So like, growing up, I was told like, yo, you're gonna be special, you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily by my parents, by people I would encounter. They're like, man, you're so smart. Man, you know this, man, you know that. But I didn't feel that way. Because I didn't see anything that I was doing that was exceptional. I thought it was all average. I thought it was normal. And so I just grew this chip on my shoulder, which actually helped me because it made me super competitive. And it also built this unwavering faith in myself because I knew, you know what, if I ain't here today, I'm gonna get there tomorrow. I'm gonna get there tomorrow. Every day, okay, today is my day, tomorrow gonna be my day. So man, no, my past and, you know, how that affected how I saw myself, and the fact that I never let others' opinions and others' experiences with me and of me affect how I saw myself in the mirror. I knew it was something special about me. I just didn't know what it was.
Like,
Man.
You're a co-owner of Chalet, you're curating festivals, you're
Thank you.
throwing your own events. You mentioned that the people around you are the ones that influence you the most.
Mm-hmm.
You found that with Phi Beta Sigma. What was it that drew you to this specific organization?
Well, I actually didn't want to be in a fraternity. I was coming in one day from hooping, and this guy, his name was Michi, my frat brother. He was like, "Man, you ever thought about being in a frat, whatever?" Like I said in the beginning of the conversation, I'm always for an opportunity. So when he approached me about being in a fraternity, I knew he was either a Sigma or an Alpha. I didn't know which one he was, but I was like, "Sure, you know what I'm saying? I'll look into it." He invited me to an informational. He mentioned me and another person that was my roommate. So I went and told my homie or my homie / roommate, like, hey, this dude wants us to come to this informational. Took him. I wasn't really interested in it. I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't really care about this. My guy was like, got real into it and was like, bro, I want you to do it with me. Like, man, I really want to be in this organization. I was very much I'm trying to hoop. I don't really care about this, but whatever. If you want to do it, we can get it. We can get it in. So we talked to them for like a year, and I ended up talking to who would become my dean, and he had got down on his luck, and the fraternity picked him back up. Not to share too much of his story, but he was able to lean on the shield, as we call it, and those brothers were there for him. When he told me that and the way and the passion in which he described it, I was like, you know what, that is something that I would like to be a part of. Because I didn't really do it for popularity. Like, I was fairly well known, like I hooped. A lot of my people from high school went to my college. We had our own group, we had our own clique. And I remember saying, like, you know what, before I join a fraternity, I start one. Like, I was one, that's why I mean, like, it is very glad, be very glad that I got my success in my 30s versus my 20s, because people would have hated me. You know what I mean? But no, I was very confident in myself. And when I finally joined, it was a learning experience too. And I got to learn more about myself. I got to learn more about the people around me. I learned organizational skills that I use today. That's how I started throwing parties, because I was doing it with the fraternity. So Phi Beta Sigma, honestly, I owe my career to starting there, to being, and that's where Sigma Chris comes from. Because when everybody will be like, yo, we going to Chris party, they'll be like, well, what Chris? Sigma Chris. And it just caught on. So when I started throwing parties in Chicago, I was like, oh, what Chris? Sigma Chris.
Does it have a more significant meaning to you than just the fact that you were known as Sigma Chris? Because now you've adopted it into your whole identity.
People ask me sometimes, am I actual Sigma? Because I don't walk around strolling with the Perry on. And I've never been like a super Greek person. But it was a time in my life in which I learned how to do this. Also, I want to give the fraternity as much credit as I possibly can by leaving that in my name. You know what I mean? By actually saying, hey, this is a prominent member of this organization that gives back to the community, that is somebody that can be respectable, that is somebody that's doing well. If anything, I'm paying homage to the fraternity by doing that. I want to be able to say, hey, these are brothers that looked out for me, that supported me, that taught me this. And, hopefully I can, pass and spread that influence on to somebody else. And you don't have to be a Sigma to get to your love for me. You don't have to get Sigma. You don't have to be a Sigma to get the lessons that I learned. I share them with everybody, So I'm just grateful that it was taught to me via that organization.
Important lessons you had learned.
Can't quit. A lot of people quit when things get rough, when things get hard. And I have a very low opinion of people's ability to persevere through hard times when they get easily shaken and rattled. Like, I'm not easily rattled or easily shaken. I don't feel those emotions like I recognize some people feel. And I think that it's because of my experience in the organization. And I really hate the fact that specifically guys go through that sometimes. I can't judge, but it's really hard for me to talk to some of my male friends and understand, because I was taught differently. I mean, it's the same thing that I was saying about the whole providing thing. I'm not really trying to hear how hard it is to provide. I need you to kind of make a way. I'm not a person that lives in excuses. Figure it out, because I did, because my father did. So it's that's probably one part of myself that I need to work on. I really don't deal well with excuses. And
Empathy?
Empathy for those that may not have the same advantages, for sure. But when I feel like you could have did that, but you were bullshitting, I'm not fucking with it. I'm not, and I don't let it slide either. But like, again, I'm super, super empathetic to children and people that come from circumstances that honestly didn't allow them, didn't afford them the opportunity to succeed. But man, when I know you just lazy, I'm on your ass. Like, I can't let that slide.
How is it they shaped your view of what a man had to be?
They gave me tools to be a man. My father is what let me know what a man should be.
What was that?
A provider. That was the one thing that and my father is very stoic. He is not a very emotional person whatsoever. And he told me, and I used to be very emotional kid. Will fly off the handle in a minute. I was just emotional. He told me one day, he said, son, if you can control your emotions, you can control your future. When he told me that, it resonated. It just constantly replayed in my head. And so whenever I was about to tweak or whenever I got overly emotional, I would just say, yo, control yourself, control your emotions. And I think that one thing about guys, we don't recognize that the emotional spectrum is broad. Happiness isn't the only emotion. Anger isn't the only emotion. Sadness isn't the only emotion. Like, you have to really know yourself to know what you're feeling in order to deal with. Shame is one of the worst, like in order to deal with it. Shame for guys, you make a man feel embarrassed, he becomes dangerous. And I realized that. If you look at domestic violence, if you look at the way these guys act in public, embarrass a man in public, and you'll see the worst side of him. That's what's so scary about it. I did not like that side of myself. I didn't want to be a person that was a victim of my own emotions. And I did a lot of work to not feel that way. That's why things don't really bother me. And I'm very hard to embarrass, because I had nothing before. So it's perspective.
You've been through all these things, having to grow through your emotions, having to grow as a man, having to grow from a teenager to who you are now. There were a lot of struggles. There were battles that you had to overcome with emotions, with accepting your flaws. But a key piece we haven't really talked about is your children. How did they change the way you viewed your purpose in life?
Oh man, they became my purpose in life. Uh, that so I named my son's name is Khalil, and my daughter's name is Kara. I named them after Superman and Supergirl. So Khalil's name is really Kal-El, and Kara's name is Kara. That's their names when they come to Earth, right? Like I was like a comic book nerd. The reason why I named them that is because I felt like they saved my life. When I was a single man just out here doing whatever I wanted to do, I was wild. I didn't have a purpose. I was living on my homie's couch. I hadn't finished school. I was rapping. Not that rapping's a bad thing,
You're
but
a rapper?
I was a rapper, you know what I'm saying? For a minute, I thought I was gonna rap my way out out the situation. And I'm not knocking anybody that does that, because I love music. And that's where my love for music comes from, because I created it, I made it. But I didn't have any real direction. I was just bullshitting. When I found out that Neek was pregnant, I re-enrolled in school. I got a job. I got a place to stay so that my family could have somewhere to live. I got on my shit immediately. They saved my life. I got serious. I learned to tell people no. And I started focusing on what would make my life better and what would make their lives better. And that became my sole purpose. And now, all my dedication, all the things that I do, this is all for them. I have enough right now where I'm just straight. I have the career of my dreams. I love my place. I love the people in my life. I want for nothing. The biggest thing is, though, they have the rest of their lives to live, and I have to be able to provide for them, support them. If they say, Daddy, I want to travel the world for 2 years, I don't know what I want to do after high school, then I want to be able to fund that. If they say, Daddy, I got a business idea that I want to run past you, I might need some financing. You ain't got to go to the bank. You come to Daddy. I don't believe in making their lives harder. They ain't got to struggle like I struggle. Nah, your daddy got it. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing this for them. And, I do this for y'all if y'all watch it, whenever y'all do watch it. Like, this is theirs. This empire, this legacy, all of this is theirs. And, when my time is over and they inherit everything and they get everything, if they say, you know what, I don't want it, I want to sell it, I don't mind. I did this for y'all. So long as you guys are having a good life, that's the only thing I care about.
Is that why you say that romance has become a non-priority for you?
Romance is hard for me because I have everything. It's very hard for me to let a person in like that because I'm happy, and when you try to date people, sometimes it just don't be working out. And it's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you owe people explanations. I don't like to explain things to people in terms of like, where you at? what you doing? It's hard for me to like. I'm like the boss in every aspect of my life, so I don't have anybody to answer to. But I do believe when you're in a relationship, you owe that person answers. You owe that person a certain respect. You owe that person time. Time is something I don't have a lot of. Respect I have a lot of. And because I respect you, I don't know if I want to go down that road with you because I know right now my focus is everywhere else. And again, I'm just very happy. I like what I like. I've had my children. Like, I mean, not that if I was to get married, I would have another kid if she wanted me to. But I have two beautiful children, um, talented, smart. I love them. Again, I have my career, I have my house, I have my family. Um, I think I'm just straight. I'm just grateful for it all. So you have to be a really exceptional person to come in and contribute to that.
And you have to be in a really good place to understand that because you've allowed yourself to be okay with not chasing the one thing that most people chase forever.
I think people got their priorities fucked up, but that's probably a story for another day. I just tell people all the time, like, and I will say this too. Romance and companionship is very important in life. Everybody, like not everybody, but the majority of people are looking for it. I know I'm in the minority, but I spent my life in relationships. I spent my life in, having these relationships that just didn't necessarily pan out, but I'm still really cool with those people. They're still in my life. I still love them, not like that, but love them as people. I have really great friends, and I mean, again, I get to travel the world. I don't necessarily lack or long for anything. So when it comes to like romance, it's just hard for me to think about it. Um, but there are people that have came into my life in the past that I've considered that with. It's hard, man. It's hard. Like it's hard to prioritize that.
It's hard to balance. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's hard to
that,
balance.
and everything's not meant to be in your life forever.
And honestly, if that's the one thing that I can't have, shit, I'm straight. I'm if that's the one thing that God like says, you know what, you have everything else, but I may not get you a partner. You know what, Lord, you've done enough. Just take care of my children. The only thing that my only prayer is that I live to see them be able to stand on their own too and provide for themselves and be happy. I could lead this joint. I wouldn't even trip. I've had a great life. I wake, not that I want it to be over, but I wake up every day and I do whatever I want to do. What more can I ask for?
Man, I appreciate you sliding, bro. Like I said, it was a beautiful conversation. Man, you got anything you want to plug real quick?
Man, just hopefully you guys stick with us this summer. We have great events coming out, man. Black Yacht Weekend, Memorial Day Weekend, Forever Mind Fest, 4th of July weekend. We're doing something big. Chicago's going to be on fire.
You putting me on a yacht?
Hey, let's do it. Let's do it, man. St. Patty's Day coming up.
Shit.
And, a lot of collaborations. Hopefully we get some content out. And everything is Sigma Chris. So at Sigma_Chris on social media, www.sigmachris.com, man. I look forward to hearing from you and seeing you guys out. I want to show you guys a good time.
Hey, make sure you guys go ahead and check out Sigma Chris. Make sure you pop out to all the events this summer. Man, Forever Mind Fest. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Sad Boys for real. Peace out.
This is Sad Boy Radio.